Hello everyone. I'm doing sorry, I'm looking down at my phone. Make sure I say the right month. I've got notes on here. I'm doing the YouTube Pagan challenge for June 2017. And sorry, my chair is wiggling. My desk is a little messy behind me, so just ignore it. I've been behind, and I also realized that today is August 2nd, so I'm quite a bit behind. But I also realized that I've been doing it like I've been doing it by the month, and so I've been doing like 4 questions a month. But I realized that that's not quite right, because months don't actually they don't just go by 4 weeks a month. They end up having, like half weeks and 5 weeks and stuff. So if you just do 4 questions a month, you're going to end up with like 10 questions in December at the end. So I should have done like 5 in May. So this month I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to have 6 this month because I'm putting 1 in from last month, and then I'll have the 5 for this month. And I'll try not to ramble on too long, so let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, number 21, marriage or partnership ceremony. Okay, so because I've got notes, I will be looking down a little bit so I don't forget to say anything. So like I said in May, I think these ceremonies can be cool if you're into them. I think it would be cool to have a hand fasting ceremony if my partner was into it. I think these ceremonies aren't really necessary because they're not going to change who you or your partner are or your relationship with each other. But it can be nice to have the ceremonies for the sake of having them and kind of saying, this is who I love, this is who I want to be with for the rest of my life. And, really making that commitment, showing everyone, having a bunch of people to your wedding or your hand fasting or whatever it is, and really making that commitment publicly and legally if it's, like a legal binding, like a marriage. And sometimes hand fastings aren't considered like a legal binding, they're more of just like a ceremony. And so, sometimes that's not like a traditional, like actual legal binding in some places. I think maybe in some places it is. I'm not 100% positive. I've heard that in some places it can be combined with a wedding, with a traditional wedding, to be made legal. Or some places just the hand fasting itself can be made legal, but I don't know if that's actually accurate. So let's see. Oh yeah, I've never been the kind of person that like fantasizes over my wedding. I've heard like a lot of like young girls like fantasize over it, and like they get real excited like for picking out the dress, and like they think about like what kind of dress would I want when I get married, and I'd want this kind, and I would want a Cinderella dress or whatever. And I remember like in school, like in elementary and even into middle school, my girlfriends would think about that some, and they'd be like talking about it some, and I'd just be like, and it wasn't because I wasn't necessarily interested, but I've just never been able to picture that for myself. Some things like I have a very good imagination, very good visualization. I can picture things like a movie in my head, like down to the smallest detail. Except for like words. Like I can picture a word in my head, like a single word, but like I've got a memory like almost photographic. It's become worse now that with my illness, it's affected my memory because of the type of illness it is, but anyway, sorry, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh gosh. So I've never been able to really picture my wedding, and I think that might be because maybe I'm just not meant to have that in my lifetime, or maybe it's just, well, as a child, like it wouldn't make sense because I've always been meant to be single, but not meant to be single, but like now I think like I've always been single in my life. Like I've never really had a real relationship, and so Like now I think, you know, like, well, I could not, it might be that I can't picture it because I've never really even been in a relationship, but like as a kid that doesn't make sense because of course you haven't when you're like 6 years old. So I think it might just be because I'm maybe not meant to in this lifetime, although I'd of course very much like to. But anyway, I'll go to the next question. Is there such a thing as a twin flame, soulmate, or destined partner? Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. Hang on, my eyes are watering from allergies. Sorry. I think that twin flames and soulmates are a little different. I'm not 100% sure. I've never done a lot of research on this. I think twin flames are like, sort of like destined partners that are romantic. They're always romantic. They're not like friends. Whereas soulmates can be, like general public, I think soulmate, they think means romantic partner. But I think the like, technically, I think it can mean, or what like pagans, witches, people like that really term it to mean is, sorry I keep like looking off. When I think, it's easy, I tend to look off to the left and up like this. And it's hard for me to think and like look at the camera. I tend to lose my train of thought. I don't know. Anyway. So, yeah, so, what is it called? A soulmate is, can be either a romantic partner or like a friend or family member who you just have a very strong connection with. So, I think they can exist, probably, but, I don't necessarily think that you're like meant to have a single destined partner in your life forever. Like, you know, that you're born and you're meant to have a destined partner and you're meant to find them and be with them for your whole life, and it's going to be some kind of perfect relationship or near perfect or whatever. I mean, with everyone that's on the earth, if there was, it'd be very, very hard to find them. I think, if it was meant to happen with people, sorry, my chair's moving. If it was meant to happen with people, it would be meant to happen, meaning it would be much easier to find them, and more people would find them. And so many people get divorced nowadays, and people just don't find them, so I don't necessarily think it is meant to happen. But I also believe in reincarnation, which I think people get reincarnated with often a lot of the same souls around them. I'm using souls as like meaning, you know, souls, like as a, for lack of a better term. People call them different things, our spirits or whatever. I think like our friends and family are often the same, or, you know, the people around us are often the same souls that we've been with in past lives. Not necessarily always like the exact same ones, like our mother's not going to be our mother and our mother and our mother and our mother throughout all our lives, but it might be similar. You know, our grandfather might end up being our son or our daughter or whatever, or a friend, or I don't know, an acquaintance, something. So yeah, I believe we have that connection with people throughout different reincarnations. Let's see, was there anything else I wanted to say? Oh, I think because of the, I've never personally felt that I've had that super strong bond with anyone. And this is going to sound weird. Maybe. I don't know. Except for those of you who've maybe had this. The only time I've ever felt that strong bond with someone is with my familiar, my cat. And that's going to sound weird because she's not a person, of course. She's a cat. But, and I'm not saying she's some kind of soulmate necessarily. But, and she's obviously not like a twin flame, like a romantic partner. Definitely not. But, like, and it's not like I love her above my family, not necessarily, but of course not, really. But, I just have a way different kind of connection with her. Like, I just have this instant bond with her. Like, the moment I saw her, I'll do a video about her one day, but basically she was supposed to be, we've fostered cats in the past, and we're not fostering any right now, but we've fostered them over the years, and she was supposed to be a foster, you know, and it's an interesting story how we got her, because we weren't supposed to have her, and we just ended up with her, and interesting way, but I won't go into it. And anyway, so immediately I just had this bond, like the moment I saw her, and she was so bonded to me, and only me. She was a feral cat, so she was so skittish, but she just immediately loved me, and I loved her, and it was just this so strong of a bond, and I've never had that with anyone I've met. You know, not my parents, not my sister, not any friends, nothing. Like, I've had best friends and stuff like that, but I've never ever had that kind of bond with someone. So it's just, I don't know, maybe that's a soulmate in a cat. I don't know, and maybe half of you or most of you think I'm crazy. Anyway, next question. 23. Destiny, fate, luck, and chance. How much are we in control? So I grew up as a Christian, and I was always told that from way before we're born, like, I don't remember if I was told like it was from the beginning of time, or if it was just from just before we're born. But I know it was at least phrased from way before we're born. And everyone would say the same thing. You know, because I remember I asked a bunch of people because I wasn't getting the answers I wanted. From way before we're born, God plans out our whole lives. Plans out everything, every tiny little detail. Like, he's apparently planning out exactly what I'm saying right now. Plans out everything, what we look like, our family, every single tiny little detail you could possibly imagine. Every hair on our head, every single thing. He plans out every action we make. We think we're choosing our actions. You know, we think about things where I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. No, I'm going to do this. And you end up doing one thing and then whatever. No, you're not making those decisions. He has made them from long before you're born. And that just never sat right with me. From the time I heard that, you know, my whole life. And that, as a very tiny child, like, I'm talking, you know, 2, whatever, that never made sense to me. That was just, you know, a crock of shit. And so I think I was like 3 years old. I decided I did not believe that. That was stupid. Because I knew I had my own mind. I could make up my own decisions. That didn't make any sense. So, and I've always been very grown up for my age. I never felt like I was really, I don't know, I just felt like I had to pretend to be a child as a kid, which is a little off topic, but so as a kid I always felt like I could really make up my own mind about things I believed in, which is why I think I came to paganism and stuff so early in life. I first discovered it when I was 9, and then when I was close to the beginning of being, maybe like a third of the way into being 9 years old. And then I very quickly decided that was my correct path, because at that point I had already really discovered my beliefs and what I wanted. And so one thing I decided was that I think that there might be some type of destiny and fate in the very large picture, such as, for example, reincarnation. That's something I've said I believe in. And I think maybe the reason we get reincarnated is because we have more lessons to learn in you know, your lives. You come to Earth, and your soul is here to learn a specific lesson, and you maybe haven't learned it properly or enough, or you need to learn more lessons, and so you reincarnate. And I think maybe you don't necessarily get to choose whether you reincarnate. You need to, because you haven't learned the lesson. And of course you might say, well, I think I did. But the higher powers or the universe, whatever, will say, well, you didn't. And so you don't get to choose that, maybe. But then maybe once you're here, you get to choose the smaller things, like whether you do this or that, or your job maybe, or I don't know necessarily. And that's really the only right answer anyone can give is, I don't know. Luck and chance. I think those two things are a little different when most people, I think, would think they're synonyms. And I'm sorry this video is getting long. But, sometimes I think I believe in luck and sometimes I don't. Luck and chance. Sometimes I think I believe in them and sometimes I don't. I kind of go back and forth. So how do you know which deity you are supposed to worship and work with? If you're an atheist, would you work with an image in any way? So I'm pagan. I'm not an atheist. I think that you really can work with any deity you want as long as they're not from a closed system and you're not culturally appropriate. They don't have to be like a patron, matron, or patroness, as I like to say, type of relationship to you for you to work with them. I've been practicing for 17 years now, I think, about a little bit over, but you know, and I've never really had that type of relationship with God or Goddess. I've always just pretty much worked with the God and Goddess, just kind of general. I have worked with a couple other, I've worked with Anubis and Bast as well. And I thought maybe they were my patron matron, but it was more of me trying to kind of force it rather than them coming to me. And so I think the way you'll know is you'll feel them coming to you. And you can find them through meditation or just feeling them around you and seeing signs of them. Like you might always see certain things that are associated with a certain deity. Or like I said, you might just feel a presence around you. You might dream about them, all different kinds of things, but it's not necessarily going to be some kind of like grand magical thing that you hear some people talking about. Recently I felt the goddess Hel, like her presence around me, like the last few months, which is why I'm including it in this one in, what is this, June? Yeah, June. Because that's sort of, like now it's August, but June and like a month before that is when I kind of started feeling her presence. But so I feel like she's kind of stepping into that matronish role. But how I kind of discovered her is that I kind of felt her presence around me, kind of felt a general idea of what kind of energy was there, and then I did some research and I started feeling like, yeah, this is who, and I kind of narrowed it down to a couple goddesses I thought it might be. And then the more research I did, I was able to narrow it down to who it was. Oh, I lost my place and went back up. What symbols or images mean the most to you? I'll name a few. The pentacle, the triquetra, the moon, the crescent moon, and I like the star image. I've got a star tattooed on my ankle. It's not like a pentacle or a pentagram, it's like the outline of a star. And I've got a star named, like legally on like a certificate and everything, named after me in the sky, like a real star, like in the sky, which I think is pretty cool. And I think it'd be cool to do a ritual, like doing that, like, and doing a whole ritual about it, but my parents did it for me when I was a baby. So I didn't actually get to participate in that, but I think it's cool. What do different colors mean to you? How do you use colors in your practice? So different colors mean different things. I think one thing that's very important is that people use their own correspondences rather than, sorry, I was checking the time. My camera's not got a lot of time left. Rather than just using what's in the book or internet or what other people say, because it's not going to work as well for you. But anyway, so when I first started developing my own correspondences, I started with colors, because colors are the easiest to access. You don't have to buy a bunch of herbs or buy all the crystals to be able to work with their energies. You know, there's colors all around you. Anyway, so I use them for different things. Some of the basic, I use them to represent the elements, like brown or green for earth, clear light blue or light blue for air, or yellow for air. Blue usually for water, like usually a darker blue, but a lighter blue will work too. And then for spirit, I like to use purple, but white will work too. And then usually red or orange for fire. And then I use them in my workings, like mojo bags, candle colors, different color inks that I like to write in. And I use them like if I want to manifest a certain feeling that day, like I want to be happier or whatever, I'll wear certain colors, like a certain color shirt or something. Although I don't really have a lot of colors in my wardrobe. I've got like some blues, but a lot of it's like blacks and grays, because that's just what I'm drawn to, honestly. Mostly blacks, a couple grays, like this shirt is gray. But most of my like cute clothes, like this is just a t-shirt, but most of my like cute clothes and stuff, even the t-shirts and stuff, but most of my cute clothes and stuff are black with like maybe a little bit of color or something. But anyway, and I also use crystals a lot, sometimes for purely their color rather than their like known properties. Like I'd use a green crystal for money rather than saying, oh well, this is adventuring and it's used for this. It's supposed to be used traditionally for this, or whatever. Okay, so those are all the questions. Sorry the video was a bit long. I hope you enjoyed. And I'll probably be filming July's YouTube Pagan challenge right after this, so I'll probably be in the same shirt. Or I will be, most likely, if I film it right now. So, thank you for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. And blessed be.